What's up, celiacs? I have complaints about this recipe, and it's not just the gluten. The efficiency issue is it calls for 2 cups of cooked chicken, and it says nothing of this until number 11 on the ingredient list. If you have some leftover chicken or a roasted chicken from the deli, great. I made this happen with my Instant Pot. Just pressure cook for 20 minutes on high, and it's really worth it because it just falls apart. Preheat the oven to 375 degrees. Substitution 1. Replace 8 ounces of uncooked pasta with gluten-free pasta. You'll need a 1/4 cup of butter, half a stick, 1 shallot, finely diced. Normally I would just use an onion, but I happen to have 1 shallot left. 2 cloves of garlic, a 1/4 cup of dry white wine. I chose a Chardonnay of nondescript brand that comes in handy little bottles. We'll be swapping all-purpose flour for gluten-free flour mix. We'll need 2 cups of milk, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Now, it calls for Jarlsberg cheese, but at $15 a pound, I decided to use Swiss, which cost me $2. A half a cup of heavy whipping cream, 1 cup diced ham, 1 cup of frozen green peas. It calls for 2 slices of bread finely chopped. What they want is breadcrumbs. What you want is gluten-free breadcrumbs. We'll also need a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. Get ready for a delicious gluten-free meal. Grab your Swiss. Now, a cheese grater gets the job done, but so does a food processor. Put the Swiss in the tube and press down with the plug dealie. And make sure to leave the plug dealie in the tube until you turn it off so it doesn't fling cheese chunks all over the place. Now we need to boil water because we need to cook the pasta according to package directions. This means put enough water in a pan to cover the pasta. Since we're going to bake the pasta, boil for 2 minutes less than the package suggests. Put the water on the stove and set the stove to high. While we're waiting on that to boil, go ahead and grab your chicken and a plate and 2 forks. What we're going to do is use 1 fork to hold the meat down and use the other one to scrape it along the grain to pull the chicken apart. It should come right apart if it's done enough. Grab your shallot or onion and get a knife and a cutting board. Cut the ends off first and take off the peel. And finally dice it. I usually use onions, so I don't have a lot of experience with shallots, so this took a while. Now that the water's boiling, go ahead and grab your pasta and add it into the water. Give it a stir and let it boil for 5 minutes, which means we have 5 minutes to make the sauce. Put a saucepan on the stove and set it to medium heat. Grab the butter and let it melt in the pan as the pan is preheating. Add the garlic. 2 or 3 cloves should do it. And your shallots. And saute them in the butter for 3 minutes or until they're soft. Now I'm going to turn down the heat and let this sit for a minute because our pasta is ready. Put a colander in the sink and drain the pasta. I put a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan and then plop the colander down on top of that, and then I can just put it back on the stove and the pasta doesn't stick together. Turn the heat back up to medium and give the garlic and shallots a stir. Deglaze with your white wine. The recipe says to reduce by about half, but because rice flour needs more moisture than wheat does, you don't have to wait for it to reduce. Get your gluten-free flour mix and whisk it into the butter and wine mixture. It's supposed to form a paste, but mine came out more clumpy than pasty. This is still workable. Turn off the heat for now and grab your milk. Whisk this in slowly so that we can break up those clumps first, and then we'll add the rest. Whisk out those clumps until it's smooth. Go ahead and turn the heat back up and get the rest of your milk and add that in. Let it simmer until it's bubbly. Turn the heat off and grab your Dijon mustard and add that in. Stir in the Swiss cheese, but not the little spindle that goes in the middle of the food processor. Okay, go ahead and get the cheese in there and mix it up until it's melted. Now stir in half a cup of whipping cream. Now that the sauce is ready, set it aside. Go ahead and dump out the water from the bottom of that pasta pot. Put the pasta back in there. Add the chicken. Dump in the peas. Grab the ham and dump that in. Stir that up until it's combined. Dump in the sauce and stir it up until everything is a nice goop. Get a 13 by 9 baking dish and spray it with some nonstick cooking spray. Dump in your casserole. Now grab your butter and microwave 2 tablespoons. Grab the breadcrumbs and add them to the melted butter. Add the parmesan. And if you want some color, add a teaspoon or so of parsley. Stir until combined. Dump it over the casserole. Now we're ready to bake. Set it in the oven at 375 degrees for about 30 minutes. Now we have 29 minutes to clean up after ourselves. For cheesy pans, use a scraper. The cheese gets stuck to your sponge, and if you just put it in the dishwasher this way, cheese gets stuck to everything else. Scrape and rinse first. Now it's almost dinner time. Grab the hot pads, it is time to check the oven. The chicken cordon bleu casserole is kind of golden on top, but it's definitely bubbly. I think we're ready to go. Since this has protein, grain, vegetables, and dairy, there's no need for a side. Everything is ready now. Don't be deterred by all the steps and the long list of ingredients in this recipe. It makes a lot of food and it really goes fast. My family loves this. I've made this before with similar results. Just enough left over for a couple of lunches. Keep the cycle of making dinner going by thawing out something for tomorrow right now. Now all that's left is to Tetris the rest of the dishes into this thing. Thank you so much for coming to dinner with us. This is a challenging recipe. If you have questions, suggestions, or just want to say hello, get in the comments. I've got more gluten-free goodness coming up, so subscribe and never miss supper. This recipe was a workout. Now kick back, watch some General Hospital. This is your time.